How are you guys doing? Whoa. Okay, I hope we're going live. I can't tell. Okay, good. Hi, my name is Dee Williams, and I am here today to talk about one of the things that I love to talk about the most, which is recruiting and staffing. I hope you all are having an absolutely amazing day. I'm coming to you today with lots of joy and excitement because someone kind of challenged me. I had someone, I told you I read all the comments below my videos, and someone came out and said, "D, you talk about all the great things that go along with recruiting and staffing, but you give this raha story, but you never talk about all the things that could potentially go wrong in recruiting and staffing. You never talk about, the bad stuff that's associated with recruiting and staffing." I guess got to make sure y'all see my shirt. Note to self: go harder. That's right. Okay. So she, and I thought that was very valid. I have had a couple of videos that spoke about that, but I thought it was a good idea and a good time to have this video and talk about the things that, that the average staffing agency may not tell you, the challenges that go along with being a recruiter, the challenges that go along with running your own niche recruitment and staffing agency. This is kind of like that realistic conversation that most trainers and coaches aren't going to talk to you about. Okay, somebody is asking me, can I do this on YouTube, on Facebook? So I'm going to kind of go in here and bring Facebook in a little bit. Give me 1 second. All right. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna go. All right. Let's see. See what you don't know, what they won't tell you. I wasn't going on Facebook. You about recruiting and staffing. And staffing. Yeah, this is what you do when you're live, right? But somebody asked, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do it. Okay, so hey Facebook, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. I am actually live on YouTube right now, but someone asked if I could show this on Facebook as well because they were unable to get a YouTube connection. And so I'm going to share this. So for all my folks that are on here, they're like in my personal string, this is just me working. So just bypass if you're not interested. And this is for all my staffingpreneurs who want to learn, who are taking their business to the next level. Okay, so I already started this on YouTube, so I got to fill you guys in on Facebook. But basically today we are, talking about what the typical hiring manager or the typical staffing agency coach or whatever, they're not going to tell you about recruiting and staffing. That's what we're going to talk about today. What they're not going to tell you, because there are things. Hey Michelle, congratulations on your candidate being in the final. Congrats on that. We hear, especially me, I'm passionate about recruiting and staffing. I get excited. I can see how it can benefit everyone who is who's an entrepreneur and wants to expand their portfolio. Like, it's a great business opportunity. And I talk about it. I get my hands up. I get excited. But this lady came in on YouTube and I was reading the comments and she was like, all you're doing is talking about all the good stuff. You're not setting realistic expectations. I feel like I do set realistic expectations when I do my six-figure staffing events. I'm always honest and says, this is the good, this is the bad. When I am training, I'm always talking about the good and the bad, but maybe this is something that needs to be created in its own platform and form. So I only got a couple of minutes because I have a 2:00 client today, but I took some notes. Y'all know how I am on some things that I feel like let's just clear the air and set some realistic expectations. Not just let's clear the air and set some realistic expectations. Let's talk about what the most people are not going to tell you and what you may not hear when I'm speaking to you. Okay, so I've got a doozy, but I want to just go into some of the areas and I'm just going to check them off because it's in no particular order. First of all, while you can become a millionaire in less than a year in this business. Easy, right? This business is a numbers game. So the only way you can really hit those numbers is if you are constantly making quality submittals. If you're not constantly making quality submittals of candidates who are a good fit, you're not going to make any money. That's just the bottom line. And so a lot of people, hey LaShawn, a lot of people get into this business and they think or they hear, all I got to do is submit resumes and then I'm in. And that is true, but they don't submit a lot. First of all, they don't submit enough. They only submit one or two and then they're like waiting to see, okay, did that work? Versus not understanding this is a numbers game and you've got to keep submitting, but they have to be quality candidates. They can't just be you find a resume online that looks like it's a fit or post a job and somebody replies back and you think they automatically fit. Most resumes that are somebody is responding to a particular job that they're not a fit and their resume doesn't show that they're a fit. So, as recruiters, it's our job. We get paid the big bucks to remove the people who do not belong in that space. So you just got to remember, this is a numbers game. If you're not the type of person who's fast paced, but still have a passion for quality and ready to submit candidates like over and over and over again, that should be your engine. Your engine is candidate submittals. If you're not ready to do that, then, either you want to revise your strategy or maybe even think of another venture. And I know Amanda says, D, don't say that, but I have to be realistic. If I'm going to be realistic, I've got to be all the way. The reason why in the recruiting and staffing industry, you hear a lot of people say the staffing agencies, they churn them and burn them, is because they get these young people, or they get people to come in who say, yes, I want to be a recruiter. Yes, I am going to place people. And then you get them in there. They're afraid to pick up the phone. They're afraid to talk to clients. They're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid. And then, of course, the staffing agency removes them because it's like, you're not about your game. You're not here doing doing the things that we need you to do in order to be successful in this business. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about starting this business, running this business, or being a recruiter in general. It is a numbers game. It's a numbers game. You've got to keep submitting. Hey, Lona, it's good to see you. Okay. Let me just see. What else did I want to say? When you're working with a VMS, right, with a vendor management system, or even an MSP in so many instances, there are so many layers between that hiring manager and you and that candidate. It is going to take time. Okay, I went to pull up the average response time or time to fill. I think it's somewhere around 29 days. It typically takes 29 days for a hire to go through the system, for a full hire to take place. Out of those 29 days, at least 2 weeks is non-response, okay? Or it's them reviewing the resumes. And then you typically have another 2 weeks to go to the interview process and to make the hire. Okay, good. I kind of lost my reception a little bit there. Hey, Jerica, it's good to see you. So just keep that in mind when you are talking about, when you're working with a VMS or MSP. That means that if you do not have your own client, if that client does not have a direct contract with you, like right now, then understand your wait time is going to be longer. It's going to be long. It's already going to be long with your client in most instances. Things you get like a really great client who is serious and ready to move now, and they will go, right? But most of the time, they're still doing the business. They're still doing all these different things. And so they're trying to manipulate or manage their time just like you're trying to manage your time as well. So just keep that in mind. With that said, you can lose a candidate and a client both by following up too much and not by following up enough. I hope I said that right. So if you are constantly, like every day, following up with a client, you can lose them. If you are following up with your candidate every day with nothing to say, you will lose them. If you wait a week before you're following up with your candidate, you're going to lose them. You should at least be following up with your candidates like every 3 days, if not by phone, by text message or email. And with your your client, I say twice a week, right? You don't want to go beyond, and you don't want to be, too far away that they're not thinking about you and then they're making other choices and decisions. But if you're doing too much every day, they're going to move on because they already have enough on their plate, or too much on their plate in some instances, and it could just be overbearing. So these are things that they're not going to tell you, and I want you guys to be successful. And since I was challenged to talk about the things that don't work or the things that you don't know, let's talk about them. Let's keep it real. Let's be honest about what's expected in this business when you're running this business, the good, bad, and the ugly, right? We've got to talk about all of those things. Okay, so you can lose a client. Let me just check this off. Candidates sometimes stretch the truth about their resume, working history, educational, criminal background, and about where they were previously submitted. So if you have to go into this business understanding that in a lot of instances, people are hiding things. Not necessarily because they're bad people. Sometimes they just forget. Sometimes, I don't know. But people are hiding things. And I like to call them lies, but some people say that's a strong word. And so we can say they stretch the truth. So they may stretch the truth about working, about where they worked at. They may stretch the truth about, their criminal history. I've seen it all. They may stretch the truth about, their education. I've seen a guy fake Harvard. I've seen a guy act like he'd been working for the last 20 years and he'd been incarcerated for 10 for stabbing his grandmama. I have seen, and never mentioned it in the interview, never mentioned it on his application, knew nothing about it. So just keep in mind, candidates sometimes stretch the truth. So that's something realistic that as the middle person, you've got to keep in mind that somebody on the right, that your candidate may not always be telling you the truth. You've got to just know that in the back of your mind. Your job is to be an investigator, to find out what the truth is by asking the right questions and investigating further. All right, with that said, check that off. Clients stretch the truth. So it is not just the candidates stretch the truth, clients stretch the truth too. Okay? And just know that they will lie about not seeing the candidate. They'll lie about wanting to meet with you. They'll lie about loving the candidate only to come to find out that they really don't. It's like clients lie. They'll say they never got the bill and they got the bill. So there is no honesty or dishonesty on either side that you can say, I'm going to side with. You have to be the middle person and just take the middleman objective. This is the facts of what's been given to you from the candidate side. This is the facts that's given to you from the client side. You've got to figure out what's going to be best for both parties at all times based on the information that you receive. If you can do that, then you can maneuver in this business. But that's something that, you'll definitely come across. So don't think because you're working with a client that they're telling you 100% the truth about anything. And don't think the same thing with a client and with a candidate. Both sides have reasoning for whatever reason to not be honest sometimes. You just have to take the information that's there and figure out what's truth, what's not, all that good stuff. I mean, of course, be respectful and nod your head and say yes, but ask tons of questions, over and over and over and over again, to see if you get the same responses, to see all of those things, okay? If you don't, this is, and I don't have an order again, I'm just throwing these things out. If you do not have a contract in place and you decided to be nice and to go and submit a candidate and you don't have to a client and you don't have a signed contract in place, they have every right not to pay you. And don't call it as a loss, because don't call it, well, that's just a loss. That was a major loss. You understand what I'm saying? You don't have anything to prove that you are required to get paid. Please do not recruit on a position before you have a contract. You should have a signed contract in place, and hiring managers are not going to tell you that. And some staffing agencies are not going to tell you that if you're working with them. You understand? So they're not going to tell you those things. They'll just let you give them the people and move on about their business. And so you're a business professional, you're a staffingpreneur, you're an entrepreneur. One of the first points of business, one of the first things that you learn is to get a signed contract, right? So get your signed contract. All right, what else am I missing? Some hiring managers in this business, they don't know what they want. Okay, so they are some of them will give you a job description. You will go out and look for the perfect person, and then you'll submit the candidate and they'll say, nope, that's not what I want. And then you'll go back and say, okay, great. Now tell me why. Because you said you were looking for this. This candidate has this, and this. And then the hiring manager say, well, they don't have this and this. And then you say, okay, great. Well, thanks. I'm glad that I know that. And then you start to ask more questions. So now you're building round 2 of this perfect job description. You'll go back out again, look for the right person. Now this person has everything, or maybe even go back to the original candidate who you submitted, right? And you'll go back, and then what? Nope, this candidate doesn't work. And you're like, what? Wait a minute, but you said da-da-da-da-da-da. My candidate has da-da-da-da-da-da. What's not? Well, they don't have this. So now you're going back again. Do you understand what I'm saying? Our job is to find the right fit. And sometimes hiring managers do not know what they really want. Or they think they know what they want until they meet someone, and then they come to find out they didn't really want that. And so candidates get upset because they're like, well, why didn't I get picked? The staffingpreneur is upset. It's like, why are my candidates not making it? You know, the hiring manager is irritated. Why are they sending me these bogus candidates? Right? So everyone, there's just a disconnect on all ends. It's your job to ask questions, especially when you're dealing with your own client. When you're dealing with a VMS, it's a little more challenging. You can send your questions in and they can go in and try to get in contact with the hiring manager, but the VMS limits you from that hiring manager interaction, right? But when you have a direct connect with the hiring manager, you can go back in and say, okay, this is what I need. Every time your candidate is declined, then you've got to figure out what it is, why, right? So because that helps you to really go back in and redefine that job description and go and find the right candidate. All right. So some hiring managers do not know what they want. They will post an open job and have no clue as to what they really want. They only have a small idea. It's our job to go out and find them. This is not I like the way Amanda says. She says sometimes the staffingpreneurs don't realize that this industry is a hurry up and wait industry. And it really is. It's like, hurry up, I need this now, I need this now, I need this now. And then you go get it now, and then it's like, okay, week 1 gone by, I haven't heard anything. Week 2 gone by, I haven't heard anything. Just lost my candidate. Got to find another one. Got to tell the hiring manager. I don't care if we're in a recession or not. Hiring managers move at their own pace. I mean, they just do. They move at their own pace. So it is our job to, 1, just stay connected with the candidate, and for 2, to pipeline, so that whenever they are taking their time, and hey Tina, it's good to see you. Whenever they're taking their time and they're deciding, they're not ready to move, you still have like this candidate, you have other candidates that you can also put into place. So like, keep that in mind. And with that said, one of the bigger things that I wanted to share with you guys, in relation to the hurry up and wait thought process, that's my dog crying. Hiring managers just take their daggone time in responding. I don't understand it. I mean, you would think that since it's an open position and they really need the candidate and that it is, it will impact their bottom line in a positive way and work will get done faster and morale will go up and all of these great things will come about just by them responding to the email that has the perfect candidate, right? However, it doesn't always happen that way. And so, we play this waiting game. And so what I would like to tell you is that this will probably be the most frustrating part of this job. Okay, the most frustrating part is going to be the wait. However, you've got to understand that since it's a numbers game, if you just submit and wait, then you're losing every other part of your business. Does that make sense? So even though there is this waiting piece going on one side, you've got to continue to submit on this side. And just the best way that I can explain it is like planting. Like if any of you guys are familiar with gardening, like you have to plant those seeds, and that's what your submittals are. They're seeds that you're planting. And so every flower blooms in its own season, right? I know this. So you've got some trees that it's going to take a year or two for it to blossom. You've got some trees that'll blossom the next day. You plant it, you water it, a day or two later, you already see this sprouting and, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you got some that's going to take weeks. I think Alicia, she had a placement. It took 4 months to get her candidate through. 4 months for that flower to blossom, for that tree to bloom. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not always I submit today and then that tree grows tomorrow. It's not like that. And does that mean we'll lose our candidates? In some instances, yes, we will. But that's why you don't get tied up on one candidate, and you've got to create more relationships with other candidates. So if we do lose this candidate and this candidate does find another opportunity, then we at least have a network of other people that we can also use to submit. On top of that, again, I say over and over again, if you're only submitting one candidate per position, why are you asking for follow-up and feedback if you're only submitting one candidate? You have to understand that hiring managers want to see 3 strong candidates that they can choose from at a minimum. You've heard hiring managers come on these calls and talk about it. So if you're only submitting one candidate and then waiting for a response, you're already out of the game because the girl down the street or the agency down the street, they're still submitting. You understand what I'm saying? So like you're out of the game if you're waiting. You've got to just submit, follow up. Submit, follow up. You understand what I'm saying? Everything in this life is a rhythm. There's a rhythm. And you've got to find your recruiting and staffing rhythm. And when you find that rhythm, you'll see that the business will roll very easily for you. But as long as you're focusing on the things that don't move at the pace that you want to do, we're in this society where everything should be now. Right? Everything should be just now. But it doesn't work that way. You're dealing with matching real life human beings, real life people into real jobs. Right? So the hiring manager has to decide, is this person a good fit? Can they do the job? Not only can they do the job, do they have the work ethic behind it? Not only do they have the work ethic behind it, but are they going to fit into my culture, the culture of the team, the culture of the company? Not only are they going to fit into the culture of the team and the company, but are they going to have a lifestyle outside of work that complements the lifestyle that we promote within this business, right? So it's not just, we've got candidate submittals, let's hire them. It just doesn't work that way. And I need you to start putting yourself in the mindset of you being the entrepreneur, of you being the hiring manager, and thinking of recruiters submitting jobs to you, submitting candidates to you. Are you just going to pick the first one that they choose? No, you're going to go through. This person doesn't have this. That needs to go to the recruiter, but you're going to go through those resumes and you're going to start seeing what you don't like. Then you're going to start seeing what you do like. Then you're going to say, okay, I think I would like to talk to that person. That's when your calendar will permit you actually doing that thing. So if you're under the impression that you're going to go into this business today, submit a candidate today, the hiring manager is going to respond today, and you're going to, get a placement today, that's unrealistic. Does it happen? It can. I've had people placed in less than a week, right? But that hiring manager was ready. I had direct contact with that hiring manager. Yes, I submitted on a Sunday, but I did it so strategically. I wanted to be the 12 a.m., the first email he received at 12 a.m., his time, so that when he opened up his email the next day and he started from the top, mine was the first one. So I went like strategic. Right? So this is the first email he sees when he opens up. Okay, this is the first one from this morning. Check my candidate out, respond. So, I just wanted to share some of those things with you. Those are the things that you may not hear when you're talking about this business. There is a time factor involved. Your job is to network with as many candidates as possible, and to build a relationship with as many candidates as possible, and to know them so that when a hiring manager is looking for something, you can really, if you can, off the top of your head or in your ATS, say, ooh, such and such would be a good fit for that. Ooh, such and such would be good for this. And then you can start that process. But if you're not talking to anybody, then you don't even know what's going on. You don't know who can do what. If you're searching a brand new search for every job that you have, and when you can tap into your network, you're not even utilizing your network properly. This business can have a beautiful flow to it of job orders, of you filling job orders in a good flow. But you've got to find your pace. That's why we say a minimum, at a rookie level, 2 submittals per day. My question to you is, how many submittals are you making per day? How many plants are you how many seeds are you planting per day? All right? And how often are you following up? Oh, one more thing I want to share. The position, okay, that's one more thing. Something that they may not tell you. The position can be open today and closed tomorrow. So, it is what it is. This is the world of being a contingency recruiter. Okay, so if you have a retainer or an engaged search, you might have a little more control, and then they would tell you, you know what, we're going to hire internally. But when you're working on contingency positions, especially in the VMS space, they may have a job open today, hire somebody from another agency or internally, and then all the work that you put in is, I don't say it's gone, because you're building your network, but you won't be able to work that particular position again. And that means you guys just got to move on to the next position. That's not something that people are going to always tell you. So, keep that in mind. And let me add on to that. In most positions, most companies are not working with a staffing agency exclusively. And so because they're not working with a staffing agency exclusively, most job orders are being worked on by a number of staffingpreneurs or a number of recruiters across the world. And if that's the case, then your candidates aren't the only ones that are in the mix. If you look at the typical VMS system, they have at least 5 to 10, sometimes hundreds of vendors. The other interesting thing about that is just because a company is working with 5, 10, 15 or plus companies on the same position doesn't mean that everybody's submitting on them either. If you look at the positions we have on the splits board, like I said earlier with the stats, we have 57 folks on the splits board. We've had 33 submittals in the last couple of weeks. On the contract side, 21 open contract positions, 3 submittals on the same one contract position. That means there's 20 other positions that nobody has even submitted to. You understand what I'm saying? That's a problem, right? That's so do you see how there could be tons of positions out there, but nobody's working on them? But there can also be tons of positions where you see everybody who submitted on that contract position, they literally all submitted on the same position and didn't even know it. So, I just want you to have an open expectation about that when you are recruiting and staffing. Many working on them. I think that was, one more other thing that you may not know when you're in this business that you definitely want to know. There are companies out there that will submit resumes to a position, and they did not get any type of permission from the candidate whatsoever. And so when you go to fill this position, the hiring manager will say, no, we've already received, Manjeet, you're on this call. We're supposed to meet. Can we meet and can we be 20 minutes, 30 minutes behind? I hope you say yes, because I really want to finish this really quickly. They may say, we can't accept this person because their resume has already been submitted. You go back to the candidate will say, nope, I never applied to this position. And sometimes candidates even have records of that, right? And so, okay, cool. So you go back to the hiring manager. No, my candidate said they never submitted. The hiring manager goes back in. Yes, they were submitted by such and such agency. You talk to the candidate. They say, I've never even worked with that agency. I've never even worked with an agency. And that's because that agency just submitted a candidate to get the job. And then when the hiring manager says, yes, I want to meet that candidate, if they couldn't get in contact with that candidate, then they will just go and try to find another candidate. But now they got the job order, which is horrible because the candidate doesn't know. And when he or she is thinking that they're up for this position that they're a great fit for, now they can't even be considered because you see what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, it's just like this vicious cycle. So keep that in mind too. King Caesar, I am live. Quiet. I apologize for that. My dog is just going bonkers. He's punished and he wants to get out his crate. And I'm like, no. Yes, you have definitely, a lot of people don't know that you got to have a right to represent in this business. When you have a right to represent, that's great. But if that, now Tiffany, you just said 1,000 words right there, because what you can do is you can go in and you can say, hey, I have a right to represent for this candidate. King Caesar, I have a right to represent for this candidate. But the fact of the matter remains that some companies say if a candidate is, yes, I'm talking to my dog, Tori. The candidate may not have, if they were submitted a while ago, the client may not honor the current right to represent. But you can try. You can say, hey, listen, that candidate said they never applied. They don't know this company. I actually have a physical right to represent for this candidate. Will you honor it? And if they're a decent company, they'll honor it. But I tell you, there are some companies out there, this is another thing that you might not know. There are companies out there literally that say, like, you have to, if this candidate is in the system for 6 months to a year, we're not honoring your candidate. They come out and say stuff like that. And so that means like your candidate will be out. So, I mean, those are things, I think those are some of the things I feel like that you won't necessarily hear flat out in the recruiting and staffing industry when you working in the industry, or if you're looking to start a business or grow the business. I want you guys to have realistic expectations. And I have a meeting, but I want to say one more thing. When you are in the commercial space or are in a space where it is more, where the workman's comp is higher, like they're not working in a desk, it's more dangerous, dealing with blood and needles, or, warehouse, the workman's comp bill is bananas. I'm just going to tell you this now. Not only is the workman's comp bill bananas, but their insurance, there's just the insurance malpractice, liability, those costs go higher. So if you're in the construction space, oil and gas, if you're in warehouse, in most instances, the insurance is going to be bananas. If you are in the healthcare space and you're dealing directly with patients where some type of, blood exchange can take place, psychomental patients whipping your tail, I don't know. You're dealing with, it's what they consider high dangerous. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be, your insurance costs are going to be expensive. So keep that in mind. If you decide to get into a VMS contract or MSP contract, there will be expenses included in that. Keep that in mind. I'm just sharing things that I feel like you should know. If you are in the healthcare or not the healthcare, if you're in the warehouse or oil and gas industries, just know that your margins are going to be low. You all hear me talk about this all the time. You've got to have volume to make money. So if you're going into that space, You're going to have low margins, and a lot of payroll funding companies do not want to deal with low margins because of the way it's being split out. Everyone's not making enough money. So just keep that in mind. That's why most people, when I teach this business, I teach healthcare IT, and IT. IT, in my opinion, is the easiest. They're the easier roles to fill because you don't have to have all this extra craziness on the back end, right? If most IT jobs are under the Workman's Comp Code 8810, you're good to go. If you've got a healthcare position or a healthcare IT position where they're behind a desk, you're good to go. When they start dealing with patients and, you start picking things up and driving tractors and stuff, it changes the whole ball. It becomes more and more expensive. It's no longer a good idea for a person who has a very limited budget. Let me just say that. Okay. So I feel like that's some good expectations. I don't know. Y'all have any questions? I'm going to do like a PowerPoint presentation on this and like literally like lay it out for you to see. But like I deal with rookies and I say that with respect and love in Staffingpreneurs Academy. And I'm dealing with a ton of rookies on Staffingpreneurs splits, again said with respect. But as I get feedback, I'm starting to, and for me, I've been in the industry for so long, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that's normal. I'm very laid back about, oh yeah, it's going to take time for that. Whereas if these newbies are like, where's this? I can't get it in. Let's debunk this idea that you have right now that this is going to be an immediate return on your investment. It's not like that. In some instances, it can be. But in most instances, it's not really. You've got to plant seeds and wait for those seeds to grow. So that's why it's a big deal for you to be building a relationship. This is where, people are coming in looking to build technology around to get rid of recruiters. The reason why is because most recruiters don't even want to take the time to build a relationship with the candidates. So if you're not willing to build the time to build a relationship with the candidate, why wouldn't technology replace us? Because it's not like nobody's doing the screening anyway. You understand? Or building that relationship. So this is where you guys have an opportunity to really grow in this industry. People want to feel another human being's energy. They want to know that you genuinely care about their success, their careers. They want to know that you're there for them. You've got to build the right relationships. And not only with the people, but with the hiring managers as well. The more you get out there and start developing relationships with hiring managers, I'll tell you, the easier it will be for you to land job orders. The more you go out there to build relationships with candidates, the more people you'll place and the more job orders you'll get. It amazes me, and this is not a training session, I gotta go, but it amazes me how many people say that they're in this business, that they're running a recruiting and staffing industry business, but not one time throughout the day do they ask for referrals. Not one time throughout the day do they say, I'm going to talk to 50 different candidates to find out what they want, what they need. Not one time do they create a strategy on reaching out to hiring managers to find out what they want, what they like, what they need, what they don't have, all of that stuff. Not one time do they just say, hey, do you know who was your last boss? Can you introduce me to your last boss? Can you introduce me to the boss that's in your family? Can you introduce me to, most of them are not loving on their business. All they're doing is this. They're talking about, I am a staffing agency owner, but don't have any action behind it. Hello, no action. In order to have a business that's flowing, that's fruitful, you've got to put energy in your business. And I can't tell you guys that a number of times. This is just how the industry works. So I want you to get out there. I want you to build relationships. I want you to talk to candidates. I want you to talk to clients. I want you to make a shitload of submittals. Yes, I said it. A crap load for y'all who are sensitive about foul language. And I want you to focus your mind on, are you getting your submittals in? How many relationships are you creating per day? How many referrals are you getting today? How many submittals did you make today? King Caesar. I'm fighting with the dog here, trying to talk over him. All right. So those are the things that I want you guys to keep in mind. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it opens your mindset about some of the things that you're going to deal with. You're going to have candidates that want to go all the way, that are going to go all the way to the end of the process. And then when the offer comes out, they're going to say, they're going to come out and say, I don't want the job. Or I don't really want to work full time. Or, and you're going to be looking at like, what the WTF? Like, are you kidding me? We've gone through this whole process. I've talked to you for the last 3 weeks. You said you were in. And then all of a sudden, they're out. That happens. Realistic expectations. You have a hiring manager to sign the contract with you, tell you ready, and then 2 days later, fill it internally. It happens. So if you're going to get disappointed about these things so quickly, then your skin is not thick enough and you're in the wrong business. You're not in the right game. But then now that you have realistic expectations, some clarity on how clients move, how candidates move, how clients react, how candidates react, and what you should expect as a recruiter and or a staffing agency owner, you'll be in good places. You'll be in a good place. And as a staffing agency owner, the one thing that I would really encourage you to do is to keep metrics on the activity that you're doing so that you can start to guesstimate how much activity it's going to take for you to get to a certain desired goal. That's what I do in my one-on-one coaching programs. That's what I do with one-on-one, hold you accountable. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. Okay, Tiffany said very helpful. I absolutely love you guys, and I'm looking forward to spreading the wealth and the knowledge consistently, because I do believe in each and every one of you that have the desire to start and grow and run your very own niche recruitment and staffing agency business. But me believing is not enough. The question is, do you believe? The question is, do you believe in yourself and in the idea and the business enough to make it real, to make it come true, to make it alive? And when you believe and you know that it is possible, then that's when all things great start to come your way. When you start doing something and you have no belief that it's even going to happen, then, you know what I'm saying? You're putting yourself in a position where you're like, you know, you're not putting your energy in the right direction. It's just everywhere. And if it's not in the right direction, then you can't even see what it's supposed to grab onto, right? What it's supposed to become real. You know, that's what faith is about. You know, that's what believing and knowing and all of those things. So I do believe in each and every one of you. I think many of you, because sometimes my staff says, D, why aren't they submitting? Or why are they not more successful? And I think it's because a lot of you are afraid and afraid of failing in the business, afraid of failing for yourself, afraid of failing in front of your family, afraid of denial of or someone not wanting to talk to you. I think you're afraid. I think not only are you afraid, but I think that you allow that fear to keep you from progressing to where you really want to be. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be fearless. So that changes the game. I also think many of you are looking for the fast way. You're looking for the quickest route. Recruiting and staffing is not an MLM. It's not. It's not a retail business. It's not. It is a business that takes time. That's why you make millions of dollars. That's why you make millions, not hundreds. How many MLMers do you meet that are making millions? Not many. And if they are, it's in the low millions, like you're 1 to 15, right? But when you're talking, and it takes them time, years to build that out in most instances, because for MLM, it's volume that wins. But here, if you're in the professional solution side of recruiting and staffing, it's not about volume. It's about quality. And when you submit quality candidates, you get a larger fee for the work that you're putting in, but it may take time for you to get that. That's why you've got to consistently submit, so you're consistently planting those seeds, so that as they're blossoming and blooming, now you've got a 15,000, 20,000, 10,000, 18,000, 30,000, 40,000. And before you know it, this quarter, you've made over $350,000. That's just on the direct hire side. That doesn't even include the contract money that's coming in on a weekly basis. But you're going to work for that money, okay? You're going to work for that money. So if you're under the impression that you're not going to have to work for that, then this may not be the right business for you. And I'm sorry, Amanda, but I had to say it. Because many people, I don't have a problem with working. Many people have a problem with working. So it's fear, and it's the lack of the ability to put the work in that's needed in order for you to win. You know, you can't have everything immediately. And believe it or not, I use relationships. If you get the booty too fast, then she probably give it a day right fast, right? That's kind of how it systematically has been in the past. But you cherish the one who makes you wait. You cherish that one, you cherish that. So just like keep that in mind when you start thinking about when you're thinking about starting this business, when you're thinking about becoming a recruiter, when you're thinking about how you're currently running your business and what your expectations are while you're currently running in the business. I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope it gave you a very clear expectation of what recruiting and staffing is. If you're into making the big dollars and you're in for the long haul and you're in for the grind and you're ready to rock it out, you're in the right business. If you want something that's going to happen right now, you're in the wrong business. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Those nice $15, $20, $30, $40,000 checks, whether it's a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, is more than what you had at that time. And they are nice. They come in right on time. I'm just going to tell you that and just keep it real with you. All right. Not to mention your residuals. So, all right. That was it. I'm like late with my meeting. And luckily he's on this call. Hey, Manjeet. And I'm going to chime right in. But I hope this was helpful. I absolutely love you guys. Don't forget, we have new t-shirts that are coming out on dee-williams.com in the next couple of weeks. But you can get some of these on Staffingpreneurs Academy as well. Note to self, go hard. Okay, so just in case y'all can't see it, what is my YouTubers? Note to self, go harder. This is on one of our new t-shirts coming out. So I just wanted to tell you that. I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Monday. And anybody who's on this call that didn't see the update in splits, please go to the splits board and get the update on all job orders. And I'm excited about all the new people that are signing up. And great. Staffingpreneursacademy.com. All right, bye. Okay. So thanks YouTube for being here. I let Facebook in. Sorry about my dog. I hope this was helpful for you guys as well. And I definitely look forward to hanging out with you guys later on in the week for more tutorials, more trainings, all that great stuff. Please do not forget to like this video underneath. Don't forget to share this video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I've got some great stuff coming and I look forward to seeing you guys more and more. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.